Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco's council meeting. The council thanks you for being part of our city government. At meetings, the council takes formal action on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other business of the city. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC-TV channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed live on the City of Pasco's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and GoToWebinar. This and previous council meeting video is available on the City of Pasco's website. Lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions by contacting the city manager, city clerk, or by using the Ask Pasco app. And with that, may we get roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Campos.
Present.
Milne.
Here.
Roach.
Present.
Serrano.
Here.
Torres.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Maloney.
Present.
And Mayor Barajas.
Present.
All 7 accounted for, Mayor.
Thank you. And with that, would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Following with item 4, consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by roll call vote as one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members or the public, the item may be removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda and considered separately. Item A, approval of minutes. To approve the minutes of Pasco City Council regular meeting held on April 18 and a special meeting and regular workshop held on April 25th. Item B, bills and communications. To approve claims in the total amount of $6,111,972.84. Item C, ordinance and resolution budget amending the Argent Road Phase 2 bid award. To adopt ordinance number 4588 amending the 2021-2022 mid-biannual budget ordinance number 4560 of the City of Pasco, Washington by providing supplement thereto to provide additional appropriation of the city's general construction fund for the construction of the Argent Road Improvements Phase 2 project. To approve resolution number 4172 awarding bid number 20011 for the Argent Road Improvements Phase 2 project to Ellison Earthworks LLC of Richland, Washington, and further authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents. Item D, resolution process water reuse facility Phase 2 amendment with RH2. To approve resolution number 4173 authorizing the city manager to sign and execute an amendment for the professional services agreement with RH2 Engineering for the process water reuse facility pretreatment improvements Phase 2 winter storage capacity. Item E, resolution intent to form a sewer local improvement district in the East UGA area. To approve resolution number 4174 declaring its intent to order the improvements of the East Urban Growth Area expansion sewer mains from Road 68 to North Glade Road lift station, force main, and sewer main to the existing gravity sewer system in the Foster Wells Road industrial way area, and to create a local improvement lid to assess the cost and expense of carrying out these improvements against the property especially benefited thereby, notifying all persons who desire to object to the improvements to appear and present their objections to a hearing before the City Council to be held May 23rd, 2022, and providing for other properly related matters. Item F, resolution setting the public hearing date to consider the Baker Ranch ROW vacation. to approve resolution number 4175 setting 7 p.m. Monday, June 6, 2022 as the time and date to conduct a public hearing to consider vacating a 10-foot right-of-way for Burns Road established per short plat 2020-22. Item G, resolution bid award for fire station number 85 street and utilities work, to approve resolution number 4176 awarding the fire station number 85 site work with C&E Trenching LLC, and further authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents. And with that, can I get a motion from one of our council members?
I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
There's a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilmember Campos and seconded by Councilwoman Torres. Do you have a question?
No, just a comment. That will. I'm good. So I do want to speak quickly to item E, Echo. I'm not asking to remove this from this agenda, but I would like to simply state I received a handful of emails over the past 24 hours, as well as phone calls, and Director Worley, who's not there. So I'm pointing to the ghost of Director Worley. He did a great job succinctly responding to some of the questions and comments. Specifically, we have folks who are concerned that they're going to be disproportionately impacted. They've intentionally moved to that area on 1 to 5 acre lots to have septic, their new septics. They have no intent to connect to city sewer until it fails at 25 to 40 years. Again, I'm rehashing these details simply to let these people know, one, they've been heard. Two, this resolution does not take any specific action except that it sets a meeting for May 23rd. At that time and prior to that time, please send more comments, not just to me, send it to either all of council, but also seeing either Mr. Worley or the city manager, so we ensure that these are in the record as formal public comments. Again, not asking to do anything, just kind of laying forth the process a little bit, just because I can see this one's going to get a lot of traction from a lot of people. So let's just make it understood as to where we are in the process. And again, feel free to continually email me, but let's make sure these comments and questions get in the record. You attend the meeting on the 23rd, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we go back. We have a motion, and it was seconded. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think it's a roll call vote.
It is a roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Do we need to do a roll call on that one?
Yes.
Yep.
We do need a roll call.
All right. Councilmember Serrano,
Yes.
Campos,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Milne,
Yes.
Roach,
Yes.
Maloney,
Yes.
and Barajas.
Yes. And it passes unanimously. And with that, we move on to item 5, proclamations and acknowledgements proclaiming May 22nd as Asian American and Pacific Island. May 2022 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And with that, Miss Angela.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So one of the fun opportunities that I have is to work with the Arts and Culture Commission as their staff liaison. And this year, we're bringing forward a cultural presentation from Hawaii. And observance of national heritage recognition has been incorporated into the PAC's work plan. So we look forward to bringing forward even more opportunities to share different cultures and heritage with you all in the coming months and coming years. In honor of AAPI Heritage Month, so Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, Oni, right here, is actually going to be providing council with a cultural presentation of Hawaiian culture and different Tri-Cities events that happen. I'd like to note that we will have a live demonstration at the conclusion of her presentation, and I would also like to let council know, so Oni celebrates 50 years of teaching the Hawaiian hula here in September, so I just wanted to make that a note as well. So I invite those who are going to be assisting in this presentation in, and I'm going to hand the mic over. Here's this for you.
Test. Test, test. Is that? Test? Okay. Anoai ke aloha ko I noa kamakahivo kalani hui rendo. It is believed that the people from Asia migrated south and filled the islands of the Pacific. The Polynesian Triangle is a geographical region of the Pacific Ocean with Hawaii, New Zealand, and Easter Island at its corners. At the center is Tahiti with Samoa and Fiji to the west. Polynesians are a seafaring people. They travel great distances in their double-hulled canoes called the Va'a Kaulua. From southern Polynesia, the people knew by the pattern of the waves that there were islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Captain James Cook, an English explorer, was the first European to travel to the Hawaiian Islands on January 18, 1778. The Hawaiian Islands were used as a refueling stop by foreigners for over 40 years before the missionaries came in 1820. During that time, 80% of the Hawaiian population died from Western diseases. The record keeping of the Hawaiian culture was an oral tradition of handing down the history through oli and chant. This task fell to the hula halau, where storytellers and dancers were trained to remember and to exhibit these stories. As Hawaii was found by the outside world, the ali'i, or the kings, felt that their people needed to become literate in order to survive their changing world. With the help of the missionaries, over 1,000 schools were established throughout the islands between 1820 and 1832. The literacy of the Hawaiian people increased from 0% to 80%. A written Hawaiian language, olelo, was developed, an alphabet called Piapa of 13 letters. Newspapers in the Hawaiian language flourished on each island. According to Hawaiian mythology, the islands were formed by the fire goddess Pele. Pele Honuamea, keeper of the sacred lands. Pele traveled from far-off Kahiki to find a new place to live. She was tired of always fighting with her sister, Namaka o Kekai. Pele was the keeper of fire, and Namaka was the keeper of water, and the two did not mix. As Pele traveled north, she would bring forth her fire, so the islands would increase, and then Namaka would extinguish her fires, as water is believed to be stronger than fire. Then Pele reached the island of Hawaii, where she lives to this day at Kilauea. Thus the islands of Hawaii were formed. The Hawaiian culture is kept alive and growing in the Tri-City by the following organizations. The Tri-City Outrigger Canoe Club, Navaia Ikolu, was founded in 1998. You can visit their va'a, or their canoes, at Columbia Park Marina, just below Kimos. Their season starts in April and ends in October. The protocol and ceremony conducted to the va'a is the responsibility of Halal Kamakahiva o Kalani. Na Pu'uwai o Ka'aina, better known as the Blue Bridge Bash, is held the first weekend in October. It began in 1998 at the VFW Hall in Canoe with 5 families coming together, then moved to the Benton County Fairgrounds in 2019. At this time, we bring in anywhere from 150 to 300 people for this weekend event. This private 3-day event brings in Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart from all over Washington, Oregon, Idaho, California, and Hawaii. It includes food, music, and the hula. Halau Kamakahiva o Kalani was founded in September of 1972 by me. Our teaching of the hula is based on tradition. Although we are a performing group, the upholding of our culture is our foremost responsibility. In 2012, the Halau began holding a year-end celebration of the knowledge that the students learned from September to May during that individual year. This event is typically held on the third Saturday of May and is free to the public. At the present time, there are 32 haumana and 6 musicians in Halau. We have also conducted ceremonies in support of the Hawaiian culture, canoe blessings, dawning ceremonies, and drum blessings. Learned some of the crafts related to the hula, which are displayed on the pali right there in front. All of those instruments were made by my students. Making our adornments are kupe'e and lei, making kapa cloth from bark of the wauke tree, making ukulele. There are several resources that have been available to help us gain knowledge. The Hui Conference is a series of classes conducted by the hula teachers in Washington State and a guest teacher from Hawaii. Ka'aha Hula o Halaua'ola was a 16-year project that conducted 10 days of workshops, classes, presentations, and ceremonies every 4 years. Annual workshops and classes are held in Vancouver, Washington by the Lei Kukui Foundation. The annual Folklife Festival at the Seattle Center has a 4 halau presentation. There have been other ad hoc classes, workshops, and events, such as when the Hokulea came to Shosho Bay in Seattle, and there were 1,000 Hawaiians to greet it. We're going to do a demonstration of hula. There are different types of hula. The ancient hula, which is our storytelling of ancient times, of the culture. The modern hula, which is looser. We will do hula lima, which is a hand hula. A hula using the uli, the feather gourds. A hula using the ipu, the hollow gourd, and a hula using the puili. My band put together the music, so it's not going to be 20 minutes. It's going to be 1 minute, 47 seconds. So we're going to start with the hula kahiko. So that completes our demonstration. We hope you enjoyed it. I don't normally read what I'm saying, but I tend to talk too long. So the best way for me to get through this was to write it and stick to it. Thank you so very much for asking us here today. It's been our privilege. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna read a proclamation.
Thank you so much for your presentation and demonstration and the education portion of it. We do have a proclamation that we want to present to you this evening, and I'll read it out to you. Proclamation, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month beginning May 1st to May 31st, 2022. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is a time to recognize the contributions and achievements of Americans of Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Island descent. And whereas in the United States, Asian Pacific Heritage Week was first celebrated in 1979 and was extended into AAPI Heritage Month in 1992. And whereas the month of May was chosen as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese citizen, Nakahama Manjiro, of the United States on May 7, 1843, but also the anniversary of the May 10, 1869 completion of the first transcontinental railroad built in part with the backbreaking labor of nearly 20,000 Chinese immigrants. And whereas today more than 20 million AAPI members live in the United States, and whereas we celebrate their achievement and contributions which enrich our history, society, and culture through the languages and religions and make our community more vibrant, prosperous, and secure. And whereas during AAPI Heritage Month, we acknowledge the additional determination, hard work, and perseverance AAPI put forth to be heard and seen. And whereas the 2022 theme is Advancing Leaders Through Collaborations, and encourage local and national governments to prioritize collaboration, development, diversity, transparency, and inclusion through leadership training of AAPI people. And now, therefore, I, Blanche Barajas, Mayor, City of Pasco, Washington, do hereby proclaim May 1st through May 31st, 2022 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you again, and we have a special guest in our audience tonight. Maybe he wants to also take a picture. Our previous mayor, Matt Watkins, is in our presence today. I hope to live up to a little bit of your knowledge. Thank you. And we'll give them a few minutes to... Thank you again so much for your presentation and the demonstration and the education this evening. And with that, we move on to item 6 of our agenda, visitors other than agenda items. This item is provided to allow citizens the opportunity to bring items to the attention of the City Council or to express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for the posing of questions with the expectation of an immediate response. Some questions require consideration by council over time and after a deliberative process with input from a number of different sources. Some questions may be directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Citizen comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes, each by the mayor. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and or submit written information for consideration by the council outside of formal proceedings. And with that, anyone in our audience wish to speak to council tonight? Please step forward, state your name for record. And I will like to remind that there's 3 minutes of speaking time.
My name is Leonardo Morales. I own Havana Cafe. And the reason I'm here, I came here 2 weeks ago. And I speak to you guys. And I hear nothing back from the city. I talked to Thomas, and he reached out to Troy, and we got the permit done. But other than that, no one from the city council or no one from the city did the minimum to reach me. And I feel like I've been targeted by the city for the last 3 years. 3 different mayors, 3 different city council, same results. I got approached by a city employee this week accusing me of doing a nightclub and having too many people at my restaurant. It's so frustrating when I get this from the city of Pasco, because it's so easy to know that they targeted me. Because I've been open for 3 weeks. And myself for the last 3 weeks was less than $6,000. So if I'm doing a nightclub and my place getting packed, I'm giving free stuff. Why? My question to you, because the last time I came to here, I talked to you. My question to you is, why is the city council allows the city employees to target me? Why is it that Troy, especially him, can come out and say, listen, I've been open for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And supposedly Troy is saying that he has a bunch of emails, which I request April 3rd, and I came to you and I say, hey, by law, the city has 5 days to give me the emails. Nobody has reached me. Nobody has come out and said, hey, Leo. So that means last 2 weeks ago, I came here and waste my time. Unless unless one of you guys can say, hey, Leo, no. I went and talked to the city council, clear, or I went to talk to Dave, or I went to talk to, one of you guys can tell me, hey, no, you missed this here. One of us went, and 2 of us, 3 of us, we actually got together and say, hey, let's see why is the city of Pasco targeting Havana Cafe. And I want to know why. Like I said, I got reached by city employees saying that I'm doing nightclub. The city council needs to get together and please define nightclub. Because I'm not doing karaoke. I'm not doing live music. It is funny because I'm making $300 a day. There is no way that I get 100 people an hour at my restaurant. The day that I got the most was my birthday, and we were 25 people. If it wasn't for Carl and Jose, on Saturday there was 0 people at my restaurant. And again, I'm getting accused by the city of Pasco that I run a nightclub. Can somebody please, for the love of God, tell me what is a nightclub? Like I said, again, I do not have karaoke. I do not have live music. I do not have a stinking DJ. I have 3 TVs with Cuban tents and restaurant and 0 customer. How you guys, because I came here 2 weeks ago and now you guys reached me. And the city employees, they didn't even the effort to say, hey, Leo, this is what you don't understand. Or hey, Leo, this is what's wrong. Oh, hey, Leo, this is a misunderstanding. No. I wait. I mean, I talked to Thomas, and he was nice enough to reach to the city employees, and we got the outside patio down. But this is one of the points that I want to come. 3 different mayors, 3 different city councils, same result. 3 years ago, the city staff was like, oh, Leo, you cannot do this and you cannot do that because C2. And for whole 2.5 years, C2. We changed C2. Oh my God, changed
Sir,
C2.
I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up. I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up your comments.
No, I just want to ask a question. What's going on?
So this is for you to bring a comment to
I
the city
did.
council. with no expectation that we're gonna reply to you.
Hold
However,
on. So, wait, and then I'm gonna wrap up. So you telling me there's a citizen of Pasco, there's a business owner in Pasco. I go to the city employees and I didn't get result. And I come to the city council and I cannot expect a result? Wow, thank you.
you may misinterpret, sir. This is to bring comments to council that will be discussed with staff.
I've been doing it for 3
You've
years.
made your comment, sir. Thank you.
For 3 years. With
We'll-
three
we'll
different
address
city
your
councils,
question.
3 different mayors. 3 years. I've been bringing my comments to this place for 3 years.
Thank
So
you,
you
sir.
telling me, you told me that if I go to the city staff and they bully me, they target me, this is not about Latinos or not Latinos. This is not about races. This is about the city of Pasco and Havana Cafe. So you telling me, to my understanding is, if you go to the city of Pasco or to any city and you cannot resolve your problems with the city, you go to the people that you vote for. Because I vote for you guys. They work for you. And you telling me that I can come here for 3 years and do not expect any result from you guys? Good job. You guys are doing a great job, though.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Carl Holder in downtown Pasco, and I've been very disturbed to see internal Pasco communication that obviously targets the Havana Cafe and Tipsy's Tavern and Amora Mexico. And I'm deeply disturbed because being a patron there, I see false statements, I see innuendo, and the situation, in my opinion, has gotten to the point where I would come here and say something that I think that it's flagrant and it's targeting, and I'm really upset by it. Number one. Number two, I've been in here several times talking about the alley, and the alley is yet to be dealt with. It's an ugly, ugly place, and we're gonna have a Cinco de Mayo celebration. There's no consideration for what's going on in the alley. Third, I just received a letter from Troy. It's called a general vacant lot notice. We've always kind of been told that if you've got a problem with your lot, somebody complains, the city is gonna respond. This is beyond that. This is a city-initiated harassment letter from Troy Hendren, CBO, City of Pasco, who's also the Inspection Services Manager, Building Official, and Fire Marshal. All of those things with one guy? And he's sending me this letter? Are you kidding me? Now I'm really sorry, but this is an abuse of power, not only for Leo, but for me as a landowner. And it was Tipsy's Tavern, Amora Mexico, and Havana Cafe, where stuff was communicated inside the city of Pasco that was absolutely false. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lillian Lehrman. Thank you for doing the API month celebration here.
You're welcome.
I'm a 4th grader at Ruth Livingston. I'm a quarter Japanese American. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council, Mayor Barajas and Council. Scott Lehrman, resident of Pasco for almost 20 years here. Proud parent of 4 children here and my wife, Kim, over here. But I'm Japanese American myself, and I just want to thank you guys for allowing these proud performers to come in, encouraging discussion about AAPI, encouraging discussion of all the differences that we have in our community. Some will say we shouldn't speak of differences, everything, we're all the same, we're all Americans. But I think by speaking to our differences, it doesn't have to be done in a negative way. We can do it positively. It helps people have pride in where they come from. Being Japanese American, my mother and her siblings, grew up right after World War II. Didn't learn any Japanese. My grandparents were from Japan. Didn't teach any Japanese because they didn't want to. It was negative to be associated with Japanese American at the time. My grandfather served in Germany in the 442nd, like one of the most decorated Japanese American battalions, over there. Didn't tell us any stories about it. My grandma hardly spoke of being Japanese. She was so ashamed of it. She was a nurse, and she wore, people don't want to wear masks now. When she was a nurse, she lived in New York, wore a mask because her patients would say, I don't want to be treated by that Jap. So, there's cultures that haven't spoken of and aren't proud of it. And I understand, I see the beautiful inclusivity we have here in Pasco. And just keep talking about our minorities, the groups that are underrepresented, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to council tonight? Go ahead, sir.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, everyone. City Council's present and those that are via phone or Zoom. My name is Gabriel Portugal, and I live in 804 Road 52. I've been in the area since I can imagine. I don't want to say the years. So I want to take advantage of the platform that the city has as far as addressing the community at large to let them know that Cinco de Mayo is on its way and it's already started. We started yesterday. We've been planning this event for the past 4 months. Did we have some challenges? Yes, we did. And but here tonight, I'm here to tell you all the positive things that are going on. So we have the selection of our queen yesterday. Cynthia Santiago Villanueva is our new Cinco de Mayo queen, and 2 princesses. And the act that you just witnessed, the Hawaiian, you're gonna have a chance to listen to them and watch them. Day after tomorrow, Wednesday, we have a cultural night, and I think Mayor Barajas, you've been one of my cultural nights where we bring different cultures to learn from each other. So the Hawaiian culture will be there. We will have the traditional folkloric Mexican, and we also will close with the Native America from the Colville Federation tribe that will be also bringing their dances. And so we do this every year. I've been doing it, well, COVID kind of stopped us for a couple of years, but basically what we want is provide opportunities for people to come and exchange cultures. There's a lot of learning we need to do about each other. It's a lot of misunderstanding that happens because we don't listen to each other. We're busy on our phones, on our laptops, and sometimes people, kids and adults and everybody falls for that. I also use my iPad. I'm carrying it, right? So, but it's time for us to put that away, put it down, and listen to the explanations of the significance of the dances and songs that are going to be performed on Wednesday at the Pinas Plaza. So that's Wednesday. On Thursday, we have an art show that we hope you can stop by. We have art from students all the way from 3rd grade to college level, and adults that are non-students. And for that, it's also free to the public. We want to show folks that art is not just for the wealthy. Sometimes there's a perception that only wealthy people and educated people have, this understanding of art. And we want to make sure that that's not true, that art is for everyone. It doesn't matter your income or your position in the hierarchy. And then on Friday, we have the Latin Fusion, where we also have bands and lots of foods. We'll close the downtown a couple of streets there at 5 a.m. And then we'll have food all at noon and music all the way to 8. Saturday, we invite you for the parade. We started the parade at 11. And if you have business, company, a group, or someone that you like to promote, please get an entry from our office, the Downtown Pasco Development Authority, which I now am the current chair. And we're there to serve you if you have a company that you'd like to be part of the parade. Everybody is welcome. That starts at 11. Around 12:30 we'll be done. And we're going to begin the parade right here in front of the City Hall, in front of the police station. And then we should finish around 12:30 p.m. And at 1, we'll start with entertainment downtown in the Peanuts Plaza. We'll have a stage in the whole. Everything is going to be laid out for people to come and have fun. It's a family-friendly environment to learn, make new acquaintances, and visit with the old friends. So hopefully you take advantage of that. Sunday, we have Mother's Day. Mother's Day is going to start at 12 noon. We're going to have a Mexican movie star singer, Mercedes Castro, that will be interacting with mothers. We have the businesses downtown were invited to select mothers that they will provide a makeover and hair and all that, so that on Sunday we can celebrate with them and honor their day, the Mother's Day. And it should not only be Sunday. Our mothers are so important. Every day is Mother's Day for those that have the blessing to still have their mothers. And so Sunday we should finish with also the Benton Franklin Health Department. We'll have vaccinations. We have diabetes information, everything that is related to getting an idea how to take care of your health. So the whole week is going to be really busy, and we are really excited. And we hope that whoever is listening here to your platform with the city will, take advantage of this week and choose our programs in downtownpasco.org and visit that, and you'll get a better idea. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Go ahead, please step forward to the mic.
Hello, my name is Kim Lehrman. I live here in Pasco, resident for 20-some years, and as you saw, some of my family members came up and spoke tonight. My family spoke about, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to learn about our diverse culture here in Pasco. I also appreciate Mr. Portugal and Downtown Pasco Authority and the City of Pasco and all the time and effort put into celebrating this week-long event of Cinco de Mayo. As I think back about the amazing cultural performance we saw in front of us that provided education and inclusion, when you take a look at the Facebook page for City of Pasco, or you look through the City of Pasco's website, this opportunity to be able to include others, to be able to come and learn about the performance that was here tonight and the wonderful proclamation, because that's really what a proclamation is, right? Is a celebration from the city, sharing out something that you want to proclaim, you want to be proud of, and yet we're missing some advertising. We're missing the opportunity for inviting. And so I think that's why you see the crowd a bit thinner than last year. And so each time we have these proclamations, I encourage the city to take the time to share out. The timing of it wasn't what could be handled for the workload with Cinco de Mayo, and maybe in the future that might be something thought about, either changing out dates within the month of May for a PI Heritage Month celebration, or thinking about how resources can be also brought that direction too. I really appreciate all the inclusive activities that the City of Pasco does, and it provides great opportunities for education and diversity to our community members. I just thought that was a part that was missed, and there's so many community members that if I would have known ahead of time, I would have loved to have invited, and I know they would want to be here too. So thank you for all that you do, and that's just one piece of feedback. So keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Go ahead, sir.
Hi there. My name is Damian Davis. This is Mario with Brothers Cheesesteak. So I run Davis Consulting. I also am your executive director for the Franklin County Historical Museum here locally. Formerly worked with the Downtown Development Authority. So I, as a transplant, haven't been here for 20 some odd years. You won't find somebody who is more pro downtown, probably, who's not from here. There's been an incredible amount of work put forward by the city. I've been lucky enough to be privy to a lot of that. I've been around for a lot of that. And there has been some amazing work and amazing effort put forward to improving downtown. There's still work to be done, though. I'm a firm believer that there is opportunities abound downtown. And I'm here today to kind of talk about some of those opportunities that Brothers Cheesesteak is hoping to be able to benefit from, but also kind of bring to light some of the amazing things that Pasco has that I don't think everybody is fully aware of. The specialty kitchen, I ran that for a little over 2 years. I was lucky enough to be able to go with city employees to Seattle to a Main Street organization, National Main Street Summit. So you have all the main streets from all across the United States and some international that were there. To the person, the specialty kitchen is a crown jewel of what Pasco honestly has to offer. Now, there's lots of issues around it, totally understand that. There's operational issues, totally understand that. But when you talk to organizations, people are envious. We were there for 3 days, and I had 2 organizations, one from Chicago and one from Brooklyn, New York, fly out a week later to tour the facility and to get an understanding of how that kitchen came to be, how we were operating it, and what we were operating it as. Mario here is a perfect example of exactly what that kitchen is meant to be. It is an incubator, it is an accelerator, and it is a treasure, honestly, that the city has in its back pocket. It is highly underutilized. And I think that people like Mario are exactly the people that facility was designed to benefit. As a frame of reference, when I first started working with Mario, I was running the Farmers Market and the Food Truck Friday events. He showed up with a borrowed tent that we gave him. We lent him a couple of 6-foot tables, and he had rented a plancha. Mm-hmm. And he sold out that very first day. Comes back the next week. We comped him the first week so he could come to the event. The next week he shows up after having sold out the week before, doesn't sell anything, but he has t-shirts made up, he has his own logo tent, he has a sign made up, and he went out and bought his own plancha. That in 1 year, from the time that he started with us in April till we were able to put windows into that kitchen, he was able to generate enough money to be able to pay to become a member of the kitchen as a client. He was able to generate a little under $100,000 in that first year. By year 2, and now this is starting to get into the beginning of COVID, he was able to generate roughly about $120,000 to $130,000 in sales. This last year, he's wrapping up his 3rd year, and he's getting ready to come to the completion of his time inside of that window. In that 3rd year, he's pushing closer to $150,000 in sales. That goes from not having money to be able to show up for the very first event, $30 admissions fee, to now being able to pay thousands of dollars into a city facility to be able to do what he does. Now, there's some shortcomings that have come in that time. During that time, there have been lots of promises that have been made, and there's effort forward that needs to be made still. The kitchen is aging, there's equipment needs, and people like Mario are the direct benefit and also the people who put the time, sweat, and effort into making that kitchen operate. The amount of foot traffic that is generated from his business downtown in a positive way is ginormous. His social media stretch to bring people to be aware of what's happening downtown is large. And right now he's at a really difficult point to where he has to decide if he can maintain inside of the kitchen or outgrow it and move to somewhere else. He wants to grow out. That's exactly what the kitchen should want as well. Equipment needs are very much a thing that is top of mind. There have been promises that have been made, like I said, for over 3 years. I know because I was in the room making those promises. I was with city staff, that was with DPDA effort, and that was with outside money, public money, and private money. A lot of those things need to happen. Not only just for him, he's only going to be here for a short period of time before he moves out. The goal is to land people like Mario and Brothers Cheesesteak in Pasco, specifically in downtown Pasco. And there's an opportunity here with all the hard work, and believe me, I know the amount of work that the city has put forward into downtown, the ordinances, the dollars, the infrastructure, that's apparent. You have a gorgeous Peanuts Park. The overpass is going to be an amazing effort downtown. I know there's efforts happening because the museum that I'm running right now, we're benefiting from those. We see more foot traffic. We see people coming in. We see people who come to our area, hundreds a month, who come to our area for tourism, and they talk about all the growth and all the positives. So that's a bonus. That's a feather in the city's cap. Little things that seem like not a big deal in the grand scheme of things make or break businesses like Mario's. So I would hate to see lack of a small investment in a city facility cause somebody to leave downtown and do it in a manner that isn't shining a positive light on Pasco. So, did you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, well, I'm Mario Quintero, owner of Brothers Cheesesteaks, and my goal is to stay down here in downtown Pasco and grow my business out of Pasco. The challenges have been tough, but we've gone through a pandemic, and I want to stay. I want to stay here in Pasco, grow my business here. I need a little help. I know it'd benefit not just me, but the whole kitchen a lot more if I could get the right things, When I started the business here in downtown Pasco, I've been able to do a lot of great things with the community. When the pandemic first started, we're out feeding the fire department, police department, nurses, We all gave them free cheesesteaks and went around all Tri-Cities doing it. I want to be able to continue to be that person, be able to give back to my community and see my community grow in a positive way. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you again. Anyone else wish to speak to council before we move forward? Okay. And before we move forward, I do want to say one comment. I do want to thank everyone that spoke today. We don't want to just dismiss what you're saying here tonight. I do want to say thank you for speaking up, bringing your issues, your ideas, and your complaints, if you want to call it complaints, but your thoughts on what is going on that is affecting you directly. We will work with our city manager, who is our staff. Our only staff is our city manager. We'll work with them and hope to bring a resolution to some of the issues brought forward. But again, just want to say I appreciate the passion that you bring forward for the issues that are affecting you directly. Thank you again. And with that, I will move on to item number 7, reports from committees and or officers. Anyone of our council members wish to speak on this? And
Councilmember Maloney.
Councilmember Serrano?
Just wanted to say, Saturday morning I was out at Walmart and I bumped into 2 of our officers who were doing the take back the drugs drug take back. And so I always appreciate that we have some phenomenal police and fire folks who are external facing, who, I mean, not only did my children and I interact with these 2 gentlemen, but I also watched other people come in and thank them for what they're doing. They had other safety equipment for guns. So again, I mean, it's something that I wasn't aware of. I just happened to need something over there, and it's always great just bumping into those folks, and so thankful for what the fire and the police do for our, as well as the rest of the city staff, but specifically our first responders. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak or report on a committee that you attended?
This is Councilmember Maloney.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem Maloney.
Thank you, Mayor Barajas. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly report. It looks like preliminary results for the Pasco Public Facilities District ballot measure look like they're passing pretty significantly. Final count will be for a little bit still, and then the vote results will be certified. But it looks like a pretty overwhelming amount of Pasco voters have decided that they would support an aquatic facility in Pasco. So it looks to be moving forward, and I'm sure there'll be much more to come about that. Thank you.
And this is Councilmember Torres. I just want to note that I attended the Tri-City Regional Chamber Luncheon last week on Wednesday. It was very well attended with the room full of elected officials. I've never been in a room with so many elected officials, period. So it was pretty interesting. And the dialogue was very polite. I truly enjoyed it. So just have that quick update.
Perfect, thank you. Councilman Campos.
I do have a quick update. I attended the Hapo Community Center for Councilman Maloney. Coming into this, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I guess the Hapo Center, the chair, director, whatever, leader of that group, I can't remember his official title, but supposedly this is the first quarter they've ever had in his tenure that they've been profitable, which was kind of interesting. And so, Mayor Pro Tem Maloney, if you still haven't seen the numbers, he said he sent them to you. If you haven't seen that, I can insert myself into that conversation and see if we can find out when he sent those to you, or maybe get a copy of the information you were looking for.
Councilmember Campos, I haven't had an opportunity to search through my email, but I do have an unread email in my inbox. I unfortunately was out sick all last week, so I haven't been able to follow up with Tom yet.
Thank you for that. And it seems no one else has anything else to bring forward. Thank you for the reports. And with that, we move on to item 8, hearings and council action on ordinances and resolutions relating thereto. The following item A, is a quasi-judicial matter. At this time, we'll have the city attorney explain the procedure for the quasi-judicial matter.
Okay, so we've got two quasi-judicial hearings tonight. One dealing with the Eickmeyer-Roundy annexation. The second matter, obviously, as you can see, is a vacation ordinance for Block 2 Kurtzman's first addition to Pasco, vacation ordinance 2022-001. So again, the quasi-judicial hearing, the purpose here tonight is the council's acting as a final decision-making body. It's defined as a proceeding in which the council defines legal rights, duties, or privileges of specific parties in a hearing or other contested proceeding. So in this instance, with respect to Kurtzman and with respect to Eickmeyer-Roundy, the appearance of fairness doctrine applies, and the hearing must be fair in 3 respects: its form, substance, and appearance. And generally, what that requires is that the process be fair, which essentially means that we meet due process requirements, noticing properly and providing an opportunity, obviously tonight, for the public to be heard on that matter. All council members should consider whether they have potential conflicts as follows: whether there's a demonstrated bias for or against any of the parties, which the statute would specifically point to prior ex parte communications as being prohibited, any direct or indirect financial interests that may be present, whether there's been any prejudgment of the issues by that member, whether there, again, has been any ex parte contact that's generally prohibited. If there has been ex parte contact, obviously we'd want to know about that, and there's a way to remedy that. Any other conflict with which a council member believes would prevent them from acting fairly on the matter tonight. If any council member has any of these concerns, please disclose that before we proceed forward with the hearing. And if there's any members of the public who seek to disqualify a member of council on this principle of fairness or appearance of fairness, now would be the time to present that concern, because that concern, if it's known and is not exercised, could be waived. I believe that's it. Do you want to get it started?
Thank you. And with that, is there anyone that wishes to
I would just say that if there's anybody that has any apparent conflict, we would just want to hear about that now.
May I ask which item that we're referring to at this point? I do have a disclosure to make on one of these items.
So we're dealing with the Roundy annexation first.
Okay, no disclosures there.
Councilman Campos?
Yeah, I'd like to disclose that I went to school with one of the Eickmeyers and the Roundies. I've had no ex parte communications with either of these people, and I believe I can act fairly and impartially on this item.
Thank you for
Great,
that.
thank you.
Councilman Serrano?
Yeah, I'd like to disclose that I know the Roundies and, you know, a couple generations of Roundies socially through church and etc. But have not had any, there's no financial interest. There are no actual conflicts, and I've had no conversations outside of this room, and I know I can be fair and transparent in this.
Thank you, Thank you, Councilmember Serrano and Campos. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, we will open this hearing. Public meeting and resolution accepting a notice of intent to commence annexation proceedings for Eickmeyer-Roundy annexation. And for that, we have Director White with some comments.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And as you mentioned, and we've heard already, this formally begins the annexation process for about 900 acres that's located in the 2021 expanded urban growth area, as discussed last week at the April 25th workshop. Tonight's action, assuming the resolution is approved, will progress this process to the signing and council consideration of a petition for annexation. Once the petition process has run its course, staff will return to council with a ordinance that would in fact formally annex the hopefully all of this area shown on the screen, but at least a portion of the area, specifically the hatched portion, which was the subject of the intents to petition, and very possibly a much larger area to the west and to the north.
Thank you. And with that, do we have any questions or comments from any of our council members? And those council members online, if you could speak up if you have any comments or questions. Hearing none. This is your second call for any questions or comments on this hearing. And third and final call for any questions or comments. Hearing none, I will close this hearing. And I will ask for a motion from one of our council members.
I move to approve resolution number 4177, accepting a notice of intent to commence annexation proceedings for the Eickmeyer-Roundy annexation, providing a determination of the boundary to be annexed, whether simultaneous zoning and the assumption of bonded indebtedness will be required.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Campos and seconded by Councilmember Serrano. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. And with that, we move on to item B. Public hearing and ordinance vacating the north-south alley of Block 2, Kurtzman's First Edition, to Pasco. And if we can have our attorney again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'll keep this a little briefer, but again, we're still in quasi-judicial public hearing land. Again, council's acting as the final decision maker in this process. We need to ensure that the process is both procedurally fair and ensure that the individuals that are making that decision are capable of doing so fairly and in an unbiased fashion. And so now would be the time, if any council member does feel that there is a need to address an actual conflict or an apparent conflict, that now would be the time to address that. Thank you.
Thank Thank you. And do we have any of our council members wishing to claim or disclose? Forgive my words, got tongue-tied here. Disclose any potential conflicts. Thank you.
This is Councilmember Maloney.
Go ahead, Councilmember Maloney.
Yes, I have had a number of conversations with the applicant about alleys, not specifically about vacation thereof. And if we've discussed this particular matter, we have not discussed it in context of an alley vacation. So I don't believe there's any. I believe I can be impartial, and will have no problems with my ability to do so.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Maloney, Mayor Pro Tem Maloney.
Anyone else wish to make any comments before we move forward? And it seems like there is none, so before we open this public hearing, we have some comments from Director White.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. And this right-of-way vacation involves an unused and unimproved alley that's located between Sycamore and Hugo streets just north of Helena. The alley was dedicated without charge or cost to the city many decades ago, and it does not provide access, as you can tell, to any structures or to any of the lots fronting the two public streets. Staff in this case would recommend adoption of the ordinance that provides for this alley vacation.
Thank you for that. And so, again, does any of our council member or staff have any questions of our staff before we open the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll begin this hearing. And again, does anyone have any questions or comments pertaining to this item? Second call for any questions or comments pertaining to this item. Third and final call pertaining to this item. No comments, and with that, I will close the hearing. And with that, can I get one of our council members to read the motion?
I move to adopt ordinance number 4589, vacating the north-south alley block 2, Kurtzman's first addition to Pasco, and further authorize publication by summary only.
Thank you. I have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Councilmember.
So I have a motion from Councilman Campos and seconded by Councilmember Serrano. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And it passes unanimously. Thank you for that. We move on to item 9, ordinances and resolutions not related to hearings. And again, it's a quasi-judicial matter. At this time, we'll have again the city attorney to read the proceedings to explain the procedure.
So same rule applies. Again, we're the final decision-making body here with regard to individuals' legal rights, duties, privileges concerning the property. We need to ensure that the process is procedurally fair in its appearance. And so now is the time in the event that a council member feels that there may be a potential conflict to disclose that. Likewise, for members of the public, if there's an issue that they think should be noted, now's the time to note it concerning potential bias of a council member.
Thank you for that. And so, do we have anyone that wishes to disclose any issues pertaining to this matter? Hearing none, we will move forward with our public hearing. And at this moment, we have a presentation again from Director White.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. And this rezone request involves just a little less than 2 acres located on the south side of A Street between 23rd and 25th. It's just west of the new apartment complex that's been built within the last couple of years. In late 2021, the land use designation of the comprehensive plan was amended by council in this area, providing for a mixed residential commercial designation, which is appropriate for the request to the C1 zoning district. The hearing examiner conducted a public hearing on this rezone request in April and has forwarded council with a recommendation of approval.
Thank you for that. So do we have any questions or comments from any of our council members? Councilmember Serrano.
Thanks, Mayor Barajas. I'll simply say that it's pretty exciting to read in the packet. You know, the intent here is a restaurant, coffee shop high enough to view the river. We're taking what's probably too small to really do anything effectively in an industrial zone and bringing hopefully, fingers crossed, in a restaurant that could bring access to right there, you know, the trails. I mean, I think this shows the redevelopment intent of downtown Pasco and how far we hope it extends. So, you know, I think this is an awesome project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Third and final call for any comments regarding the ordinance for rezoning Columbia River Walk from I-1 to C1. Hearing no more comments, I will close this hearing. And can I get a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance number 4590, approving a rezone to binding site plan number 2008-03 from I-1 to C1 and further authorized publication by summary only.
There's a
I'll
motion.
second that.
And there's a motion by Councilmember Campos and seconded by Councilwoman Torres. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, it passes unanimously. And with that, we move on to item B, resolution facts of finding for single room occupancy. And we have again Director White for some comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. And this is the action item from the public hearing that was held on April 18th by City Council for the moratorium on single-room occupancy housing units that was adopted previously in March. The resolution identifies the findings that are necessary for continuing the moratorium, at least until September 7th. And as noted in the agenda report, Council will see this issue again prior to September 7th. But again, as noted in the agenda report, the intent is to analyze this issue in coordination with our housing capacity plan. So it may involve, I'm just thinking ahead, another extension of the moratorium so that those two, the housing action plan and the moratorium, will arrive at council concurrently.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions or comments from any of our council members? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 4178, adopting findings relating to the moratorium prohibiting single-room occupancy, SRO housing, and conversion thereto in the city of Pasco, pending study of impacts and best development practices and policy.
There's a motion. Can I get a second?
This is Councilman Melny. I'll second that.
Moved by Councilmember Campos and seconded by Councilmember Milne. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And it passes unanimously. And we go on to item C, resolution Broadmoor tax increment financing. And for that, we have City Manager Dave Zabel.
Good evening, Mayor Council. So this item is to consider the TIF proposal that related to Broadmoor area that was discussed at length last week. Quick recap, we discussed TIF as a tool and its potential for leveraging development in a very large and significant area of our city. In fact, several hundred acres of undeveloped land geographically located in the Broadmoor area and central to all of Tri-Cities. As noted last week, something rare for a community as mature as Pasco to have that kind of development potential under one ownership in the form of several hundred acres. It's a great opportunity for the city. This resolution would allow the city to move forward with a analysis of the impact of that project. The proposed resolution is not an irrevocable commitment at all, but it allows analysis to continue, evaluation of boundaries, description of the expected private development within the increment area, and a comparison of scenarios, medium, we talked last week about low, medium, high growth, description of public improvements and the cost of those improvements as well as private improvements, and an analysis of assessed value of real property within the increment area under those different scenarios, which, as we talked last week, would generate different amounts of revenue in that tax increment between undeveloped and developed, which would drive and fund the public funded projects, as well as an analysis and necessary mitigation to address impacts as appropriate on things like affordable and low-income housing, local business community, school districts, things like that. The project analysis, just as a reminder, is expected to be complete by the end of May, just the end of this month. We would then submit that analysis to the state treasurer per the TIF law. Yeah, the treasurer is allowed 90 days to review the analysis, which puts us at the end of August. So council would see this in the form of an ordinance and a fairly comprehensive report similar to which your presentation you heard last week in September of this year. That would be, council at that time would obviously consider the analysis as well as comments by the state treasurer and any public testimony. We would recommend approval of the resolution.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions or comments from any of our council members?
Question.
Go ahead,
This is
Councilman.
I'll make my comment real
Councilman
quick.
Campos, go ahead, and then we'll go to Deputy Mayor Maloney.
So, City Manager Zabel, as I understand this is mostly for like public utility developments and stuff like that. Could this be used for something like relocating electrical lines in an underground vault for a property that maybe we're already working on, or is the ship sailed on that?
I mean, it could be if it's associated with the improvements that would be funded through the TIF. So if there was an electrical vault, for instance, in a future right of way, relocation of that would be part of that project.
Sweet. I think I have one in mind.
Okay.
No further questions.
No further questions? Deputy Mayor Maloney? Was that you wanting to
Thank
make
you, Mayor
a comment?
Bras.
Okay.
Yes, City Manager Zabel, we talked, I think, last week when it was first presented to us that there was potentially some opportunities and some conversation about what that might look like for, how affordable housing or potentially low-income housing. What other opportunities that might be appropriately funded by something like this that are following the best practices to be able to be spread across the city, in addition to just street infrastructure. So I know that the list that's been included in our packet tonight is not an exhaustive list. What would be the process for looking at what items make sense for that and don't make sense for that? Again, not presupposing that any of these things need to be included, but just trying to understand how do we define that list? What does the process look like in a little more detail?
I'm going to, I'll make a comment, and then we also have Bob Stowe online, and so I'm going to ask Bob to step in as well and help as well. So the improvements we make are related to the private improvements that'll happen in terms of if it were not for the improvements that are made through this process, the private improvement would not be possible. It's called the but-for analysis. But for these improvements, this kind of development would not happen. And so that's kind of the underlying justification for each of the improvements that are in the list of projects that would be funded with the public dollars. So with that overview, I'll turn it over to Bob to speak directly to the Deputy Mayor's question.
Thank you, City Manager. The City Manager is correct that all the improvements, all the public improvements must be related to the development, and that the development would not have occurred if not for those public improvements. Related to affordable housing, the legislation does allow for contribution towards affordable housing. We'd have to make the case that affordable housing is a prerequisite within the city or a requirement, and therefore the development would not be able to move forward without the affordable housing component. And so that's really the test. Certainly cities have that ability to contribute funds into direct before, as part of a development agreement or as part of a development moving forward, that a certain amount of that has to be certainly consistent with your codes and regulations. Or if you want to try to move forward an affordable housing project, you could contribute some of those dollars. But it all has to, again, be related to the development moving forward, or the development not being able to move forward if not for the improvements or not for the public infrastructure, including affordable housing. Any affordable housing goals or policies that you have also would come into play as private development occurs. Private developers could, obviously obtain tax credits for promoting affordable housing on the site, and they may do that regardless of whether or not there's any TIF financing.
Thank you for the additional information. What does the process look like internally, more mechanically, to determine what the list of infrastructure is and the items that would be considered against the but-for analysis? Obviously, that's a funnel, and not everything passes through the funnel. So how does that process work? For example, you heard Councilmember Campos bring up a potential thought he has there on a project that may not have been included to date. How does that process work for making sure that the list is considering all relevant ideas?
Yeah, we've developed the initial list that you have in your packet based on that infrastructure that is primarily supporting commercial development. We know commercial development and mixed-use development, the type of construction, 5/1, 5/2, is not necessarily present in the Tri-Cities area today, just given the construction costs are higher than what the lease rates would allow for that to be built. And so that's what we've tried to identify in the infrastructure, are those costs and those projects that are primarily serving those types of developments, recognizing that the single-family developments and then the straight multifamily development, at least the 3-story development, is more capable of performing their own infrastructure improvements. And so that's sort of the lens that we've looked at initially, is to try to determine what a developer is capable of performing based on market conditions. And then, once we determine what the sort of the pro forma is for that development, any infrastructure cost that's outside of that becomes really sort of eligible for a TIF project. And then it's a matter of you may have a TIF need or an infrastructure need that far exceeds the city's willingness or desire to issue that much debt, simply from a risk standpoint, wanting to try to manage that. And so you may decide on fewer projects than what may be eligible, only because of you're trying to manage your risk as you move forward. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I would add to Mr. Stowe's comment, there's kind of a cash flow piece too. So when Bob talks about risk, it is how soon is that development going to occur, so you start to get the benefit of that increment. And in the meantime, you'll have debt service obligations. We will have sales tax and other taxes being generated in that area as well that you can use for debt service as well. But then you're, at least temporarily, you're taking that away from other general fund purposes, like police, fire, parks, etc.
Thank you for that. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none. Oh,
So
Councilman
just in
Campos.
plain English then, it's basically like playing Monopoly. You don't want to load up on hotels on Boardwalk unless you know someone's going to land on it.
It's kind of like that.
All right.
Yeah. The risk is greater, though. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 4180, authorizing the nope, sorry, this is the wrong one. Scroll down. I move to approve resolution number 4179, declaring Pasco City Council intend to form a tax increment area in the Broadmoor area.
There's a motion. Can I get a second?
Councilmember Maloney, I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Campos and seconded by our Mayor Pro Tem Maloney. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Any opposed say nay. And it passes unanimously. And with that, we'll move on to item D, purchase and sale agreement, city purchase of Thunderbird Motel, and this goes to Director Ratkai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The item brought before you this evening is Resolution 4180, authorizing the purchase of property at 414 West Columbia Street, also known as the Thunderbird Motel. The Thunderbird Motel ownership were willing sellers, as this is an aging structure beyond its useful life, and the renovation of which is impractical and certainly not economically feasible. Acquisition of the property allows for the city to really potentially mitigate some off-street parking that was eliminated by the Peanuts Park Farmers Market Plaza redevelopment. In addition, the location is ideally proximate to the renovated park, nearby businesses, and several other properties primed for redevelopment. Also, the size of this parcel could allow for a portion of it to be remarketed, repurposed for redevelopment in the future. This purchase and sale agreement was executed subject to City Council approval. Closing and possession is to take place on May 3rd, which is tomorrow, and we bring forth the resolution for discussion this evening.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from any of our council members? Councilman Campos?
I guess I've got a lot to say tonight. Really cool for this kind of moving forward. I saw a Pasco PD social media post, the sign coming down. I kind of wish I'd spoke up on that because having that sign, maybe keeping it for nostalgia's sake would be kind of cool. But also, again, I made a comment. It's kind of the sign that nobody ever wants to see again. So thanks for putting this together. I think we've got a lot of opportunities for some neat things in the downtown, and doing something like this is the right path.
Thank you. Any of our other council members online wish to speak on this matter?
Mayor, this is Councilmember Roach. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say about just that sign. I drove by it earlier this week, and I would just say what Councilmember Campos said, echo his sentiment that, saving that sign, even though it seems a bit outdated, it's one of those things with kind of like logos and designs. It could be, an archived piece and kind of tell us the story of the city of Pasco and what we were, who we were in the past. So I would be in favor of, I don't know if we have like a storage shed or give it to historic preservation, but holding on to that.
Thank you for your comments. Any further comments from any of our other council members?
This is Councilmember Torres. Oh, sorry, Mayor Pro Tem.
Please go right ahead, please.
I think we're both on the same topic here as well, probably along the same lines. I know that we had the understanding that the sign was going to be capped, and I know there was some discussion with Mayor Zabel, and he can probably shed some light on that as well as to the sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Maloney, did you wish to speak?
My fellow council member had exactly the words right out of my mouth.
Okay, thank you. Well, I for one just want to say that this was a great move. I'm in support of moving forward. And I, as Councilmember Campos has stated, that's probably a sign that no one wanted to see as we make progress on this project. And with that, we have a motion. Can I get a motion?
I'll do it right this time. I move to approve resolution number 4180, authorizing the purchase of property located at 414 West Columbia Street, Pasco, Washington, and further authorize the city manager to execute the closing documents.
There's a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilmember Campos and seconded by Councilmember Serrano. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And it passes unanimously.
Mayor Bras,
Go
would
ahead.
the city manager perhaps be able to give just a brief overview of whether or not it was a city action that took down the site?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. That was not the city staff's intent, was that sign go away. We recognize the historical significance of the sign, and the owner, kind of on their own volition, and I think there was some miscommunication in there. There was certainly not from city staff to the owner, but felt he was able to sell it up until the end of day today. And he did so on Sunday, and we're in the process of actually trying to retrieve it at this point in time.
Okay. And I know there was a lot of comments online regarding the sign and just pointing fingers at the city and how we should have kept a little bit of history. Councilman Campos?
Yeah, well, thanks, and still making the attempt to try to retrieve that. There was one thing I think that maybe we didn't touch on, again, and kind of glad handing a little bit here. City Manager Zabel, can you share just how many calls we've had just this year alone that we are trying to mitigate?
Well, I think from certainly this wasn't the primary reason, but the primary reason was mitigation of that parking, but we had on the order of about 400 just police calls only between the beginning of the year and the end of April to that site. And similar numbers last year for the entire year. That would put it well over 1,000 plus, hundreds of aid calls out there as well.
418 calls in 4 months. Some of the questions and comments also online on Facebook regarding this purchase were in regards to the individuals that live there and being displaced. Do you have any information regarding that concern?
Yeah, there was one family in there on vouchers there. They've been relocated into a different facility, and we're working with some of our partners, particularly the fire department through our resource navigators, and working on trying to get them into more permanent housing rather than living out of a place like the Thunderbird Hotel. I will mention that the rent, and we had a very active owner there who was pretty good about collecting rent, is my understanding, $70 a night. So that's $2,100 a month. There's certainly a lot of other opportunities in our community for probably less than $2,100 a month for a studio apartment.
Okay, so the concern of potentially having homeless individuals because of the purchase of this property is probably not going to happen since they can afford rent somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to what individuals might do. They may decide not to spend money on rent, but if they were not under a voucher and they were living in that hotel, they were per the owner spending $70 a night on rent.
Thank you for sharing that. Councilman Campos, you have some
Yeah,
questions?
so firsthand experience living down there, I've seen a few new faces, but nothing that, in my mind, I was expecting quite a few. I've probably seen maybe 6 or 7 new individuals, but that's a drop in the bucket. So I see a lot of people. There's a homeless guy that came right up to the edge of my property, sat on my retaining wall, and I'd never seen him before. And so I can only imagine that that's one of the properties he came from. So I expected probably to see a lot more, and I'm not seeing very many.
That's good to hear. Okay, with no further questions or comments regarding this topic, we'll move forward to item E, Resolution Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Funding Agreement for West Pasco Water Treatment Improvements Phase 2, and we have Ms. Sarah, not Mr. Worley.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. So we're presenting to you tonight a loan agreement for the construction of West Pasco Water Treatment Plant Phase 2 improvements. This is a low-interest loan. It's a 20-year loan at an interest rate of 1.75%, a fee of 1%, which is included in the loan, and the total loan amount is $9,750,000 with some other numbers there. This is just rounding. The money will be used for, again, the construction of improvements, which is the phase 2 of West Pasco. All improvements for West Pasco to increase capacity from 6 million gallons a day to 12 million gallons a day are divided into 3 phases. Phase 1 is in construction. Phase 2 is about 60% design, advancing towards 90% design, with a bid expected to be out in July. And phase 3 will begin design once phase 2 is in construction. With that, I am happy to discuss any details, but the purpose of this item is to request the approval from council for the city manager to sign the agreement so it can be executed.
Thank you. I do have one quick question. You said, correct me, I probably heard wrong, 1.75% or is it 1.25?
175%, but there is an incentive for projects that are completed within 24 months since the time of execution of the agreement, in which the interest rate will be reduced to 1.25%.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Is there any council members that have any questions or comments regarding this topic? Hearing none, if I can get a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 4181, authorizing execution of a $9.75 million loan agreement with the Washington State Department of Health for the West Pasco Water Treatment Plant Expansion Phase 2 project.
Just a slight
This is
correction.
Councilmember Roach, and I'll second it.
You got a second. Just a slight correction. Instead of adopt, it's approve. Unless yours reads different.
Mine says approved. Did I say adopt? I move to approve resolution number 4181. I modify my motion, even though there's second on the floor. I move to approve resolution number 4181, authorizing execution of a $9.7 million loan agreement with the Washington State Department of Health for the West Pasco Water Treatment Plant Expansion Phase 2 project.
And I'll second that again.
There's a motion from Councilmember Campos and seconded by Councilwoman Roach. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, it passes unanimously. And with that, we go on to item 10, any unfinished business, none listed. Item 11, new business, none listed. Item 12, miscellaneous discussion. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few items. One, on the last item, I did want to commend Maria and her staff. 1.75, and my guess is if there's any way she can get us down to 1.25, she's going to be doing it. She's pretty good at that stuff, and the impact that makes is for the ratepayers, because they'd be paying probably 4%, maybe a little bit more, by the time we were to issue a revenue bond with the way interest rates are going right now. So that saves ratepayers money for the life of a bond, which is maybe in this case 15 to 20 years. So. That kind of work seems a little ho-hum, and probably the eye-popping thing about that agenda item is $9.75 million more than the 1.75 or 1.25% interest. So it's $9.75 million that has to be spent to improve that facility. So we don't have a choice on that. But thankfully we had an option on interest rate. So I wanted to commend Maria and her staff for that, and Steve Worley as well. A couple other things. Cinco de Mayo is already very well covered by DPDH Chair Portugal. My other thing on my list was PFD ballot, which the deputy mayor already got to. But I also want to congratulate you, Mayor, on your interview on Univision. And that's an interview. I'd sent council a link to it a little earlier tonight, but it's an interview that'll be aired actually nationally on Univision. So really exciting news. Another big plus for Pasco. So congratulations.
Thank you. Just real quick before I give you the floor. Yes, it was an interview with the Spanish-speaking Univision TV station. I'm not even sure how Pasco got on the map, but we are definitely on the map, and they're keeping an eye out for the changes happening in our now almost 80,000 population little town. So I'm happy to do that, and si se puede. And Councilmember Campos?
Well, thank you, Mayor Barajas, and congratulations. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Just wanted to bring something. I sent this off to City Manager Zabel before for our meeting. I know council, we've made a really big push on making homelessness kind of our focus for our city goals. And so we have a little fundraiser, Art for Awareness, that I put in our insert. And I just kind of want to give the community an opportunity to maybe hear about this. May 13th from 6:30 to 10 p.m. at Wine Social for a silent auction fundraiser. All proceeds are going to go to the Tri-City Union Gospel Mission. There's going to be some art, live music. It should be fun. So if you can attend, it'd be cool.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Anyone else have any announcements before we move forward? So I'll just highlight again that I do want everyone that's watching, please check out the Downtown Pasco Development events happening this week in regards to Cinco de Mayo. It's a multicultural event filled week. So there's presentations from everyone from all walks of life, a wide range of individuals that live in our community. So again, come out, participate, check out the arts happening, check out the presentations and demonstrations for the different cultures, and then let's close up the week with a parade. And if you haven't already registered for the parade, I would invite you to do so. See you then. And with that, we will move on to item 13 on our agenda. We do have a need for executive session. This is the City Council will now meet in executive session to discuss item, oh my gosh, where am I at? Discussion for legal counsel about current or potential litigation per RCW 42.30.110 LI. And we will meet for 10 minutes. Correct. And we'll meet for 10 minutes. Just before that, we'll get 5 minutes to take a little break. And then we'll meet in the council chambers for that executive session. So we'll meet in executive session until 8:55 with the 3-minute break. So 8:58 will be in our session. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to announce that we are extending our executive session for 5 more minutes to convene at 9:04. And with that, we'll be right back. And it is now 9:04, and with that, council is adjourned. Have a great evening.